All right, and my guest just walked out, so that's a good way to start the show. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Ron Morse, host of Pittsburgh Business Radio, founder of this insane concept called Pittsburgh Business Radio. We are the only local all-business, all-talk show in the region. I was talking to Alan Serena today or yesterday. I don't remember when it was, but Alan kind of runs he runs the station. He runs the studio. And we were talking about numbers, numbers of listeners. And there are a pretty steady 15 to 25,000 people that listen to this station regularly. And there's a rating service called Arbitron. Now, nobody, you're not supposed to technically talk. Now my guest is back. That's good. You're not supposed to talk about Arbitron in the air, but I do anyway. And that's how they determine how much you pay for advertising on the show. Anyway, I'm talking to Alan, and I said, how's it going? And he said, well, Ron, we were talking about sales, which is my favorite subject because sales makes the world go round. I suspect it's the favorite subject of my guest as well. Without sales, nothing happens. And we were talking about the fact that other radio stations and other mass media, television, what have you, have huge numbers of people that consume their product. There's a station down the dial that could probably claim at any given time slot 50, 60,000 simultaneous listeners, maybe more. Well, we don't have those numbers of listeners, but what we do have are listeners that are power players. If you want to use the term that's so used today in the vernacular, C-level players. I never even heard that term before a few years ago, but that stands for CEO, CFO, COO, CMO, CIO. I had no idea how many C's are out there. And again, folks, I'm old. I'm 59 years old, and I will tell you that 20 years ago, there wasn't a single C on the planet. 10 years ago, there were CEOs, and that was it.
C-I-E-I-O.
EIO, yeah, E-I-E-I-O. And reminds me of a bit that happened at Pitt Stadium once. That voice belongs to my guest, who I'll introduce in a second. But anyway, the point of all this is that if you want to talk to people, and I'm not disparaging bus drivers and people that sell fruit in the Strip District and people that help land planes at Greater Pittsburgh Airport. They are listeners to a lot of different talk stations. But if you want to talk to people that are controlling private equity, if you want to talk to people that are spending great gobs of money on everything from IT surveys to complete MRP projects to digging up foundations or raising a building or erecting a building, then you want to tune to Pittsburgh Business Radio because this is where those people come to listen. And they don't come to be entertained, although we must work entertainment into our game plan here. They come because they want to hear people like Frank Cowett. They want to hear people such as, the CEO of JetBlue we just had on the other day. Guys like that that are movers, and I say guys and women like that are absolutely making things. The other day we had, what's her name? She's just the Pittsburgh Library lady, Joe, help me, Daryl, Joe Mystic's wife, Barb Mystic. Yeah. Boy, am I blowing out my brain today. Barb Mystic was on. Barb, I've known for years and years, tremendous local personality. Prior to running the library, she ran the entrepreneur program up at Seton Hill College. You heard her, if you're a regular listener, and I know you are. You heard her talk about the depth of the resources at the Pittsburgh Library, talked about state. This is an informed woman. When people like that come on the air, Frank Cowett I'm talking about, when people like that come on the air, you learn from them. And that's why people tune us in. And that's who you reach when you sponsor Pittsburgh Business Radio. I know you know this, but I every now and then like to reiterate it. talking about sales, talking about business. About, I don't know, maybe a month and a half ago. Who knows? I can't track time anymore. But I met a guy at the Red Ring restaurant at the behest of none other than Jonathan Kirsting of the Tech Council. I always want to call it the High Tech Council. It is that no more. It is the Tech Council. Jonathan Kirsting calls me up and he says, "There's a guy you got to meet. He's your kind of guy." And yes. And Jonathan's thrown me a few guys like that in the past and broken my heart because I've burned an hour of my life and nothing came of it. This guy, Jonathan was right about. And so I had lunch, and ironically, we share the same surname, pronounced differently. I guess you'd say that's a homonym, but I'd like to introduce the world Ty Morse. I know you've been on on other shows here, but welcome to the show. This is the show you want.
This is it.
Show that
I've reached the big time.
I've
reached the big time.
You're now in beyond AAA. Ty Morse, welcome to the show. Morse, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What is that? Is that Norwegian or is that
It's Scandinavian.
Okay.
It's Swedish.
All right. I wonder if that's
or is it a homophone? Might be a homophone. Morse, homonym or homophone.
You know, I think it might be. I think you might be right. It's homophobic. We got to be very careful with that. Ty has a company which we were just talking about a few minutes ago called Songwhale, and I said, "Where'd that name come from?" And he explained it to me. It made some degree of sense. But Songwhale is a really, really cool company, folks, and we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about his. I mean, this guy's an entrepreneur. He's 27 years old. In my opinion, this guy is, there are about 50 companies in Pittsburgh that I'm aware of right now that have a chance to make it to the big time. By that, I mean the next Marconi, the next Spinnaker. And I think Songwhale, which is Ty's company, has a reasonable shot at busting out and being a significant company that makes significant noise on a national level, well beyond just this region. And in point of fact, the company, which is only a couple years old, has done marvelous things thus far. If you happen to be driving around the city and you see a billboard, let's say, for example, the University of Pittsburgh, I just noticed has a bunch of billboards up, and if you want to, say, buy tickets from the University of Pittsburgh for their upcoming football season, you text Pit Whale or
Pit to Whale.
Pit to Whale.
Yep.
.com. And the whale word is in there. And, the University of Pittsburgh, Steve Peterson, who's a personal friend of mine, and Steve and I didn't always see eye to eye, but we had a sit-down earlier or was it last year, and we got our stuff together. But Steve is not an easy guy to railroad into a deal. So if whale's in the name, the product, he must respect greatly the Songwhale product. So we're going to talk about all that stuff. We're going to take a real quick break and come back. And I'm going to throw the microphone open to Ty and let him tell us all about what Songwhale's all about. I think you're going to find it to be I'm not kidding you, folks. This is a business I think has a shot at becoming a huge, huge company. And when you hear their model, like so many great companies, it's a simplistic model, but it has infinite top end. But he's faced with a massive first mover that he and I were just chewing over at lunch, no pun intended. So we'll take a quick break, come right back with Ty Morse. I'll shut up, let him talk. You're listening to AM 1360s. This is WMNY. You're listening to Pittsburgh Business Radio. Stay with us. We'll be right back.